What's going on, folks? We are going to be reacting to parts of this Digital Foundry video that showcases gameplay side by side for various Switch games and shows frame rates of stuff like that as well. I'll have a link to the full video in the description box down below because we're not watching an hour and 47 minutes of this, so go show them some support. I'm a fan of Digital Foundry from the sense that it's interesting to know about these things. What I don't like is how fanboys use it to like prop up a certain version of a game over a better version, or say that a game is inherently bad because it has a dip to 59 frames instead of 60 frames per second. So I like what they do, but I don't like what people use it for. But I do want to check out some of this stuff where they're looking at like third-party games and stuff like that. So looking here, like, you know, Switch 2 version, PS4 version of Final Fantasy VII Remake. It would have been better if they did the PS5 version, in my opinion. I'm going to go ahead and just turn myself off here so you can see everything. I think that would have been better if they did the PS5 version, because the PS5 version is what this is based on. The Switch 2 version is based on the PS5 and PC version with the intergrade stuff, with the added in content like Yuffie and stuff like that. So kind of strange that they went with the PS4 version, but
in this one shot that I have,
I mean, it is interesting.
Lighting, and it has a totally different lighting setup on Cloud's face and body. It's more of kind of a 3-point lighting setup with a bit of a 3-dimensional look to it, a bit of a strong edge light, key light, whatever.
So you have a 3-dimensional lighting setup, and you could kind of see it here. This is a very stagnant thing. You know, look at the arms, for instance, how the light isn't really interacting with the arms. And this is very tech nerdy stuff and all that sort of stuff. I guess I could put myself back on the screen when I'm talking. Look, I'm not used to these reaction videos, okay? I don't know how people just like sit there and thumb their ass and do these reaction videos, because like, I don't know, that's just disgusting to me. But I wanted to do this, you know, because I did find this interesting. So, you know, you can see that there is a clear difference in terms of things like the lighting and stuff like that. And I think that that is very impressive for the Switch 2 version. So let's continue on here.
Looks quite good there. But I think the key thing here, and the reason why this looks so different across platforms, is because the Switch 2 version is running the intergrade version, which has the intergrade lighting changes, which were quite numerous. So I think it does appear more visually pleasing on Switch 2.
Yes, and I mean, he's right. So I'm that kind of begs the point. Let me pull myself back up here. That kind of begs the point as to why you're showing the PS4 version. Like, I guess because maybe it was easier to sync it up as far as the trailer is concerned, but I don't know, a bit of a missed opportunity, I feel, but you know, no biggie.
But it's not like for like. And then in this scene, the second scene I've put together, if we flip back and forth between Switch 2 and PS4 here, they do look very similar, but there's not a whole lot of tweakables in this shot that would be super obvious if they changed some setting here.
That still looks ridiculously like, let's be clear here. Final Fantasy VII Remake is a gorgeous game on the PlayStation 4. Arguably one of the best looking games on the PlayStation 4. So even if it was just like baseline PS4 or PS4 Pro, like, you know, it would have been nice if they did the PS4 Pro version. You know, with the additional lighting and stuff like that, like that's very impressive to me. But that's just me. I don't know how you are.
Draw distance with shadows, things like that. So I'm satisfied basically in these shots, the presentation.
Now we'll look at Hogwarts.
Quality, though, curiously, does appear to be better. And here we have a press asset to look at, which is presumably a pretty high quality asset. It's sharper than the PS4. It's less alias than the PS4. The character of the image breakup overall, I would say, is quite a bit less obtrusive than PS4. It's actually quite a big improvement on the whole. And it's rendering at about 720p in our shots, curiously enough. The PS4 version...
So Hogwarts also looking a bit better potentially than the PS4 version. And you got to remember, people, this was like the whole thing was like people were expecting base PS4 performance. But it's clear that the Switch 2 is doing things better than the PS4 already off the jump, and it's a handheld system. It's pretty impressive.
But here you can see the shadows appear to draw further into the distance on the trees in that midfield there. It's not a huge difference. It is the same scene, but it's not a huge difference, but it is nice to see. Now, I can't really judge image quality here.
Now, the Elden Ring that they showed wasn't like the best, and I would be interested to see more from that. Like, was that an early version of Elden Ring or something like that? Because it definitely, it felt a little bit strange seeing that.
A better asset. I can't imagine it presents like that, though.
I'd hope
so
not.
That,
I wanted to
that
see
would
frame
be
rates.
surprising. And yeah, as we see, inconsistent 30 FPS cap there. So, you get
So
some
this
long
seems to
distances.
be
Alex, I'm curious what you think.
30?
About this.
Well, there's a couple things. One thing.
I mean, I don't know. That seems fine to me. And then here's another interesting part. Was kind of the comparisons of Switch 1 and Switch 2 versions. And I've seen a lot of people talking about this
Switch 2
online.
edition, because Nintendo has supplied 2 sets of
Like, that looks like it's sort of the thing where I know there's going to be people in the comments who are like, oh, it looks the same. It does not look the same. It does not. Like, go ahead and, blow up. I'm watching this in 4K. Like, the colors just look so much better. Even like the background looks cleaner and sharper. Like, look at this tree and then look at this tree. Like, this looks like, to be a bit hyperbolic, a little bit of N64 fog, and then this is like, hey, look at these branches.
press
Like,
quality
this is
assets to
very
press
impressive. Look at, oh, damn it. Why would you cut right there? Why would you do that, Digital
sets of
Foundry?
press quality assets to us.
Like, just look at this. Like, the Switch 2 version looks substantially better. And like, for a game like this, dude, that's always a great, like, look at the arm cannon. The arm cannon, different, much sharper, less fog, clear image quality, like, by far. That's got me very excited.
One is for the Switch 1 version, and one is for Switch 2. So it's only about 12 seconds of footage matching, but it does match perfectly. It's a little cutscene sequence here.
Like, even just, oops, I didn't mean to do that. But just like the minute details of things. Like, look at the shadows look better. The ground looks better and clear. The background looks better and clear.
By far comes down to image.
Like, that's sick, dude.
120 supplied by Nintendo.
Oh wow.
Yes, which
Look
does
at that.
actually seem to be 1080p.
Look at that game, dude. Bro.
So that is pretty solid. And so you could pick between.
So they're running at
450
50%
and 1080p
speed for this to kind of show
which is
some of
probably
the
tough for a lot of people. I think those are 2 very competitive offerings.
difference
Much better experience than you would on
and kind of how things look.
And then there's Legend of Zelda on the right.
So of
there.
course this
And the
was
game seems to be running
in.
at about
Why did they
1440p
switch
on
sides?
Switch 2 again, 900p on Switch 1. But it's also running at double the frame rate, which is quite nice. And I think it's a pretty tremendous upgrade overall. And in the Korok Forest, which is an area where the OG Switch, you can see in this footage, it's running pretty poorly. I think in digital.
All right, I don't really care about Zelda stuff. I just thought this was interesting, and I wanted to showcase some of this stuff off. You could watch more of this where they do like other comparisons and stuff like that. I just kind of want to look at like the third-party stuff and then the Switch 1 to Switch 2 versions of things, because that to me is kind of like you could tell me about specs all day long. It's what you do with the specs. It's how you utilize the specs. It's what the specs bring to the table. So I will have a link to this video in the description box down below. Like I said, there is more stuff here. They look at some of the third-party games as well and talk about that sort of stuff. Then they have people asking questions and stuff like that. But an interesting video. They also talk about the Nvidia tech sort of stuff. I thought it was going to bring up an image, not of this gentleman's face. There we go. So you can kind of figure out some things with that, how DLSS will work. Make sure you check out the video in the description box down below. And as always, guys, thanks for checking out this video. Go check out the main channel because there's 2 videos on there today. Switch 2 Electric Boogaloo. Later.